the Traditional Rulers Council, the Akwa Ibom Ibibio, contained Solomon Etuk, spoke at that public hearing also. The Algon boss, Honorable Inyobong Robson, political leader of Eseneket local government, Ben Odobia, was also at the public hearing, including the Center for Human Rights and Accountability Network, represented by the State Director, Otwekong Franklin Isong, was also at that public hearing and also made some presentation there. Well, this morning we've got on the show, joining us, Otwekong Franklin Isong is the State Director, Center for Human Rights and Accountability Network. It's great to have you join us on the talk today.
Good morning, Hugo. Good to be here.
Welcome.
Good morning, listeners.
Welcome. I'm sure that you're aware by now that before this public hearing, there's been a lot of rumblings, some undercurrent. There's been talks. There's been concerns precisely, and since that public hearing, the concerns have been more, especially from some areas of the state. The big question that people have been asking is how is it, and what exactly is it? A bill to remap the state or a bill to create for a map? That's been an argument. The chairman of the Joint Committee sitting on this issue says it's a bill for a map.
Okay.
Has Akwa Ibom not had a map all this while?
Even right in your studio, we are having a little conversation over it, and
before we
and it's a surprise thing for everyone to wake up and hear that Akwa Ibom State has no map, and so it becomes arguable. Even those who are informed, even those who are enlightened, are arguing that there is a map for Akwa Ibom State. Well, let me speak based on fact. What we went for the House of Assembly on Tuesday was a bill for a law to provide for a map for Akwa Ibom State and other matters connected therewith, which therefore implies that there is no map for Akwa Ibom State. If there had been a map, or if there is a map, what we would have been talking about would be a bill to repeal or amend or alter the map of Akwa Ibom State. But what we have here is a bill for a law to provide for a map for Akwa Ibom State and other matters connected therewith. And so I have also done my research. I have done my investigations as a journalist, and I can affirm to the fact that Akwa Ibom State is close to 36 years, created on the 23rd day of September 1987, that there is no map for Akwa Ibom State. If there is any map,
does it? Let me cut in here. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Does it make any sense? I mean, literally, that there is no map for Akwa Ibom State. How true?
If there is a map, here I have just said it. The Assembly will be talking about a bill to repeal, or to amend, or to adjust, or to alter the map of Akwa Ibom State.
So if there is no map, then how has
it been operating all these 36 years?
That's one question. Another question is, how do you know the geographical location referred to as Akwa Ibom if there's no map?
That's the point. That is why we in our own society group have come to commend the sponsors of this bill. Mind you, this bill is private member bill.
I agree.
Now,
I agree.
Why we commend the industry of those who have sponsored this bill is because it is seeking to empower the Solicitor General of the state to begin to give us a map in line with Section 8 of our Constitution.
Franklin, what marks out the territorial area called Akwa Ibom? If there's not been a map for 30, how many years?
36 years.
36 years.
Yes.
If there's not been a map, then what marks out the area called Akwa Ibom?
You see, Akwa Ibom State was created by the government of Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. And after the creation, the question has been, what have been the steps taken by the past leaders to ensure that the state is surveyed, first of all, because this particular building that your Excel station is operating from has a survey plan.
Agreed.
First. Agreed. And then has a map, a drawing that shows what is where and who is, which office is what. So for our past leaders to allow the state to be that porous that you can just wake up in the morning, you hear communal clashes between our state and other states. You hear communal...
Is that as a result of a lack
Because you don't have a map of your own state. You don't even know your boundary.
Is that the reason?
And your people will just be either...
Communal clashes are not peculiar to Akwa Ibom and its neighbors.
No, you see,
right?
boundary disputes leads to communal clashes. First, you must note. I know other factors also contribute. Like you could have the farmer header clashes. You could have, other issues.
I'm asking all of these questions to ascertain exactly how true it is that Akwa Ibom has never had a map. September 25, 1987, Akwa Ibom State was cut out of... September 23rd, rather, 1987, Akwa Ibom State was cut out of former Cross River State.
Yep.
Right? Please paint it to me. The areas that were said to have now become Akwa Ibom State, how were those areas marked out?
You see, I will not be speaking for the military government that created states then. But I know for sure that states... I'm
asking from the knowledge that you have.
Let me explain. Let me give you my own knowledge. For in the military, during the military era, states, local government were created to persons, to individuals. If you have a link in the military government, they could just, say, okay, let us give this person a state. It is tied to a person or to a group of persons that have asked for, not that the entire people of the state is being given. And so when the decrees are made, pronouncements are made that you have a Akwa Ibom State, capped out of Cross River State, it has become enforceable. Now, how do you now delineate the states and say these are the boundaries between Akwa Ibom and Cross River State, between Akwa Ibom and River State, between Akwa Ibom and Abia State? This is the issue. Now, we have had several disputes. For instance, a typical issue is the Nkari Inini that had almost on a yearly basis, they have issues with the Arochuku in Abia State having attacked. The last one was about a year ago. I led my team. We went there, the community. We saw the way the entire community was like, raised down. Now, NBC had severally, that is National Boundary Commission, has severally been invited to the state. And each time they come to the state to meet, it is a shameful thing that we don't have a map to show your boundary with other states. Then when the NBC comes to the state, the other states will have their own map to show that where you are claiming, where you are even dragging, belongs to them. How do you now prove that this particular area belongs to you? Because an issue. We move now to the Okwibuku and the Cross River people and us. We have issues of the same boundary dispute. That one has been over the years severally. And each time this NBC make attempt to resolve this issue, question will be, where is your own boundary? Where do you have your own boundaries? Where does it end? You don't have it. So the only thing that has normally been done is to send military men to go there and maintain peace and order. That has been the in thing that has been occurring. You have communal clashes virtually in almost all the LGAs of this state. You have it in Mbo, you have it in Balenin, you have it in Ikrabasi, you have it in, I think, Esreket, Ebono, and the rest. So what I think the House of Assembly, in its own wisdom, is seeking to do is, having received several complaints, several petitions, several complaints and of communal violence that being caused by boundary issues, have now come up with private member bill to now say, let us now have a map. Let us now empower the Surveyor General of the state to now do her job by now going to these communities, going to this local government, to these clans, and be able to meet. Now, let me tell you this. What we had on Tuesday wasn't a map. It wasn't the issue of a map, but it was the issue of having a map. And there are processes of having a map. So far, there is no map existing. We are just living at the mercy of God, and our authorities are so porous. Now, what the general will now do will now be to now go, will now put up a committee that will now embark on tour of the states and the LGAs, the clans, the local government, and then be able to see the map, see the boundaries. If I have a dispute, my community has a dispute with your own community, what they will do, they will come there. You will have your ancestral markings. You have your tombs. All what will show your boundary between my boundaries will be there, and they will have a checklist that they will use in touring the entire state. You have villages that are omitted villages. You have clans that are also not even known. Yes. And this issue will now help in resolving all this. So what this bill is seeking to do, on a nutshell, is to simply tell the Solicitor General, do your work and give us a map. And she has to now go around the entire state and engage stakeholders, hold public forums, and be able to come out with a map that will be acceptable to all in the state. So there is no existing map so far in the state, and it's the shameful thing that the state as our state has no map. That is why when people talk about, hey, they will take our oil well from here, hey, they will take my community from here, and I begin to wonder how they got this information from, and how did they get information? Because the truth is, as we speak, even on the floor of the assembly, some persons brought out judgment, called judgment, and we're like, for me, we are like, this is not the time to present this document. Hold your document, hold your argument. When the Solicitor General leads a team to your area, you will now present your facts. You must be able to show your ancestral boundaries between you and another community. Now let me give you a typical example. I said yesterday in a sister program, I have a land dispute in my community. Now, where my farmland is, my uncles are all, we have about 13 uncles in the same, in the same environment, the same location. And that area is only farmed by only my own family people. Now we have someone from another family who my dad gave a portion of our land to and took money from him on lease. Use this land, borrow me money. After a while, you return the land, I give you your money. Okay, I give you your money, you return the land. That has been happening in several communities. Now, this family has refused to accept the money. My late dad made attempt, come and take your money that you gave me, give me the land. The family refused to accept it. At a point, we went to the family, to the village court, village committee. They reviewed it and said, how did you even go to that community? That enclave is being farmed by entire family, this family. Only you just went for another area and go and farm there. It shows that you have either you bought the land or someone gave it to you on lease. Take the money. All the witnesses there are my uncles. They come and testify, this land belongs to this family, belongs to you. Take the money, give the land. He refused. So such are the issues. So now that man had passed on, my late dad had passed on. We the children we've come now to inherit the conflict. You can now see that now. So such issues continue to exist. Now when you claim boundary, you must have witnesses. There must be sign to show that this particular area belongs to you. If, for example, you are from another community and you go and reside in another community in a land given to you, and before you know it, you now have children, grandchildren now come up, you now multiply. You can't claim that you can't go and annex that area to where you are from. You have to know that you only went there to either bought the land there and you build the land and develop it. Let me give you another instance. In my own community as well, there is a signpost of a church in our own community bearing that is the signpost has the village name of another community in our own community. That is, the owner of the church is from that community, from another community. He came, bought land in my community and built his church. But when he put his signpost, he put the village name of his own community. And the land where his church is in my own community. Is it a neighboring community? Neighboring community. Okay. And this has becoming an issue that the owner of the church had died. The children and other members of where he's from claim that that area belongs to them by that signpost being there. So you have several of these kind of issues that could cause ethnic crisis. So when such issues arises, what do? You must be able to show that this is the boundary. You must have cultural boundaries, tombs, stone, and all those things to show that this is a boundary between your community and the other community. So it is very simple. So those who are trying to misinform the public on the issue of map of the state should hold their peace. There is no map so far in the state. If there is anyone, I challenge anyone to produce the map of the state. What you have online are all fake. No, not map of Akwa Ibom state. Take it from me, because I have done my own investigations. When this issue came up, I think 2021, people said all manner of things. We kept quiet because I don't join issues with fake news. Now it has now come to the public that we are now talking about a bill to now empower the Attorney General to do her job. So what we need to do is, if you have facts about the boundary between you and the other communities, keep those facts. When she comes to your territory, you now present your facts, and then she also has a checklist that she will now be able to check between your boundaries and now say this is a boundary between you and this. Nobody will move. Nobody will be moved out from anywhere to another area. Now let me say this: I'm not speaking for the Attorney General. I'm speaking because my own NGO has followed these issues, and we know that the only way we can have this ethnic conflict, communal clashes solved in, I've just mentioned Ini, I've mentioned Okuibuku, I've mentioned Imbo, I've mentioned Eseleket and Ibno, and all communities that have, communal issues like this caused by land, boundaries, can only be resolved with us having the map of the state presented to us, and then that will now solve all the issues. So that even when we're not there tomorrow, our children will now say that this is the map that shows that between our communities and your communities, we have a boundary. Now let me also add this. Nigeria has a map, right? Nigeria map shows the boundary between Nigeria and Niger, Nigeria and Chad, Nigeria and Cameroon.
It also shows the boundary between each state.
Each state, yeah, the boundary between each state, right? Yeah. Now, in Nigeria, if you go to Chad, for instance, the boundary between Nigeria and Chad is also there's no official, there's no wall fence demarcation, yeah. But it's very simple to know. In the international community, you know that Nigeria has a boundary between Chad and Nigeria. Now, what happened in the case of Bakassi Peninsula, where we lost that area? We lost it because there was an agreement called the Green Tea Agreement that the then government reached with the Cameroon government, yeah, which is why that area was ceded to Cameroon. So, if you don't have a map of your own territory, you are open to attack. You are open to other states that have back to claim your own area into their own communities.
So does the Nigerian map, which has, Nigeria does not exist in
isolation.
In isolation.
Exactly.
It's a combination of different states. That map has a clear delineation of what states is where and where its boundaries are with other states.
Good.
And so it shows Akwa Ibom of that map.
Good.
If that exists, how do you say that Akwa Ibom doesn't have a map? And you mentioned the issue of Bakassi Peninsula, so maybe we'll go back there too and look at how it affects Akwa Ibom. Just about the same period, some oil wells were also ceded to Akwa Ibom, simply because these areas where the oil wells are said to be Akwa Ibom areas. The same thing from River State, right? What was the deciding factor at that point? If there was no map, how was it, that an area would be said, oh, this is Akwa Ibom, if there was no map?
You see, the state government has no right to decide the boundary between Akwa Ibom and Cross River, Akwa Ibom and River State, Akwa Ibom and other neighboring states. That is handled by the National Boundary Commission.
Agreed.
You must get this fact clear.
Agreed.
The office of the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State and all other states handles the issue of state boundary, issues. Now, what the government is seeking to do, the map of Nigeria that shows Akwa Ibom State only shows the boundary between we and other states.
Right.
It doesn't show the boundary between Barenin, for instance, and Orogonam, between Eket and Ibno, between Ibno and Eseleket, between Ona and Barenin. It doesn't show all those boundaries.
So you're saying there's never been any...
That is why I am challenging anybody to produce the map of the state that we have. If there has been...
There's never been any map that shows a clear demarcation of where Ikolabasi is,
exactly
the boundary between Ikolabasi
and
the point. Barenin.
Even in there should be, if there is a map of such, it should be able to tell us the clans as well. You tell us the villages as well. That is why you have some omitted villages.
Frankly, interestingly, when you go online, you will find maps, right? You will find a map of Akwa Ibom that even states the highways on Akwa Ibom. I mean, that's how you have Google Maps. Good. That's how you drive around Akwa Ibom with Google Maps. And so it doesn't. I'm trying to see some sense here when you say there is no map.
You see,
is it that there is no document called a map with, the House of Assembly's approval on it, maybe the Surveyor General's stamp on it, or the governor's signature on it? Is it that you don't have a document with a drawing that has all of those, what's it called now, pen to paper?
Okay, this is a responsible media house. Mm-hmm. And if you must operate with official document, right?
I agree with you.
Otherwise, whatever you present will be fake. I have not seen any map in the first instance that is under the government gazetted, sealed.
So you're saying
now, I've not even seen any.
You're saying map. A lot of things that have happened in the last 36 years.
That is why I'm saying
Akwa Ibom, there's been a lot of illegalities.
That is why I'm saying.
Is that what you're saying?
That is why I'm saying that the people who have come up, the members who have come out to now sponsor this bill, have thought of how to resolve conflict, how to resolve these communal clashes, how to resolve this dispute, how to ensure that the state is now well seated in the way it should be, and now choose to sponsor this bill. Now, you cannot say you have a map and the House of Assembly, that is a law-making institution made up of all ethnic persons, if you want to talk about ethnic tribes now, is coming up with a map, with a bill to make for a map. If there had been a map, I want to repeat myself again, what the Assembly will be doing will be a bill to repeal or to amend or to adjust the map of the state. So, but there is no map known to.
I'm asking.
There is no map known to anybody in Akwa Ibom State officially.
A lot of things that have happened in this past 35 years.
A lot of things like development-wise,
have they happened in illegality?
No, you see,
because you'd also look at the State House of Assembly that has people representing the different peoples of Akwa Ibom. And so if you say there is no document showing exactly what area is what area, then how are these people representing the area that they're representing? How do they know where the people that they speak for are? How do they know not to go outside their line and be speaking for some other people? These are issues that will come to the table.
That is why I say we put it in context. The Nigerian Constitution contains 774 local government councils.
Agree.
It didn't contain map of those local government councils. Now, by that, it also you now know how many local government form one constituency. So those you see as house members that you are referring to now over the years have always been voted from those constituencies.
I agree with you.
Like, for example, the territorial districts are divided into 3.
You mentioned something, and that's what I'm basing this conversation on. You say that there is no document that shows clear demarcation of which area is what area. The National Boundaries Commission is concerned with state borders.
State borders, yes.
And then within the states, it's the duty of the state
to do a map,
do a proper delineation of the areas.
That's it.
Right. And so if that has not happened in 35, this year 36 years of existence of Akwa Ibom State, and we're looking at the people who are supposed to be representing the peoples of these areas based on delineation, proper delineation of the areas, then should we not be worried about what has been happening in the name of representation? How do these people know the exact people that they're representing in terms of land area, in terms of occupants of that land area? How have they been doing what they have been doing?
That is why you've been having this conflict. That is why you have underdevelopment. That is why you have people when they become...
Maybe we should add more representation.
Yeah, because when they become, for example, a local government chairman, will not want to stay in his local government. You want to come and stay in the headquarters. I'm coming because most of them don't even know what it takes to be a local government council chairman. You have... Is that
the result of lack of map?
Well, you don't know. Like you are asking me now. You are asking me what have they been governing? What have they been doing? And the question is,
what have they been? Who have
they been representing? That's what I'm saying. So ideally,
the house member doesn't even know the area that he represents.
How many of them even go to know the villages that constitute, that even know their village route, their village names? the village heads' names, the clans between their boundaries. They only get to, they're only being schooled. When it is time for politics, they will tell you, you have 4 clans in your local government area. This is the number of your vote. This is the number of polling units that you have. And what they're concerned is polling units and how to get vote. So if you talk about actual representation, what they ought to do would have been to be able to tour all the villages in your locality and know which village is where. I can tell you, when this Ini, people had crisis with Arochukwu, the house member, Iman Ekpenyong, popularly called Iraq, moved from Uyo to his village. When my team went to see the level of damage, we also saw him, and he took us around and told us the impact and how it has affected this community. But how many of us, how many of the lawmakers that have been able to tour their villages and know the boundaries? None. Some of them, a few of them, they only go to burials. They only attend child naming, ceremonies. They only attend public functions. They are only present when there is time for public show. But to be able to hold stakeholders forum, to hold town hall meetings, in fact, this particular map issue, by now, ideally, all the house members ought to have moved to their locality and hold town hall meetings and educate their people. All the local government council chairmen ought to have moved to their LGAs, call stakeholders meeting, and educate them on the need for this. So me and you arguing here, or trying to explain whether there's map or no map, wouldn't have arisen. But we are allowing people on social media to misinform the public, and those who ought to do the work of informing the public are just watching. So it now looks like there is an attempt to see some villages to some villages.
That's the thing. Do you blame the people who are apprehensive, for being?
When you are not informed, you are deformed. When you are not informed, when you are misinformed, you are completely deformed. And whatever you speak on ground, on the street, on Tombo joint, at Bepalo, becomes a fact.
We're back to having this be a parlor talk again.
So that's the truth about it. Except you are well informed that first, there is no official map. There is no map for the state. And it has left our state so porous, attacked by other states. When the NBC comes to this state severally for dialogue, they will be asking us, where is your own boundaries?
Frankly, I feel like, you're tying yourself in this thing. When you say that
the NBC,
the National Boundaries Commission, its duty is to cut out exactly the boundary between Akwa Ibom and its neighbors, Cross River, Abia, River State, right? And then there are most of these boundary issues that you've talked about, issues between Ini and Arochukwu, 2 states. The Okubaku axis is Cross River and Akwa Ibom, 2 states, right? There's not been much between the rivers and Akwa Ibom axis. There's not been much.
We had one, right? The oil well.
I agree.
Issue.
Right. But these are 2 areas, and they're interstate issues.
Yep.
The state not having a map is not the reason why that is happening.
Now, let me tell you this. That's why I said...
Because you mentioned also, and we agree on something, the National Boundaries Commission
oversee interstates
to cut states based on its boundaries.
That is why I keep on telling you that I have followed the crisis in these areas. And NBC severally had held stakeholders forum. And the other states has their own map that shows the villages, their boundaries between the villages.
Okay.
Get this point. If you go the boundary between Akwa Ibom, that is in Kari axis, you won't even, there is no wall that divides Akwa Ibom from Abia. And therefore, what you see, people intermarry. The names, people will bear the name of those from Arochukwu, they bear our own names as well. So you won't actually be able to know the clear-cut boundaries. But when each time the NBC visit Akwa Ibom State, in most cases, I will be there. And the question is that the other states, they will come with their own map, showing, you can even see, even within the local government of Arochukwu, you will see the villages and their boundaries. But here in Akwa Ibom State, we only rely on NBC to bring the Nigerian map and come and show that the boundary between Akwa Ibom State and Arochukwu, or Akwa Ibom State and Abia State, is this. But you don't have your own map to present that shows that those villages that you are saying belongs to your own area, the boundary that you are trying to, lay claim to actually belong by virtue of you having your own map showing these, ancestral landmarks are not even there. So what you now do is you now rely on the NBC to now fall back to the Nigerian map, fall back to what they have. And when they visited the communities to check, all they will be relying on is ancestral landmarks. But you as a state, you don't have your own map. So each time such meeting holds, the deputy governor of Abia State will come with his own map of the state that shows the number of villages that you have and their ancestral landmarks, but you don't have your own. And you go there, you say your grandfather told you that this is your own boundary. You've been planning, you've been farming here since you were born. And these are all the claims you can make to get to actually convince the world that this is your own territory.
Okay. All right. Well, quickly, let's open up the phone lines. Let's give you a chance to join in on the show. Phone line's been buzzing off the hook in the last 30 minutes. So join us here, 0809-222-1069. Hopefully that line works. 0902-225-5088. I'm sure of that. And if you send an SMS, you could get across to us via that number. Once again, 0902-225-5088. WhatsApp is 0802-200-5155. I'm going to pay attention to Facebook. So if I were you, head over to Facebook and leave some comments. Share your thoughts with us right there. What are your concerns? We would love to hear. All right. Facebook is XL106.9 FM.